Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, May the 8th, and unlike I think I promised, I wasn't able to do this by a Zoom invitation. But the reason I wasn't able to do it is because we've been pretty busy this week. Let me tell you some news around testing. And by the way, you might have noticed that I've already got Samson in my lap because he's going to want to get up here anyway. So I just decided I better start with it. And in the background, you also hear my kitty cat, Luna. So it's kind of an exciting pet day at the household. But back to the exciting testing event. So last Saturday morning, folks from the Department of Health called me and said that we needed to get together a major testing event for folks in Society Hill. The background of this is that Governor McMaster has worked in collaboration with the CDC, and we need to test as many as 110,000 South Carolinians, hopefully by the end of May. That's a lot of testing to take place. Some of the guidelines for testing have been a little confusing by Samson. At first, they were saying that we would only need to test individuals who were symptomatic. And frankly, the reason for that was because there was limited testing kits that were available. Things have begun to improve, and now that more testing kits are available, in order to really make plans to, quote, open up the community, open up the state, we really have to know more information around who is positive, who has the disease, and whether or not we can relax some social distancing standards and so forth. So, DHEC wanted to collaborate with us because we have a long history of collaborating with DHEC. And they asked us point blank on Saturday morning now, remember? Saturday morning. Whether or not we would be a willing partner with them for a testing event to be held in Society Hill. And you know what I said. Well, of course we would. So yes, we did. We collaborated. Everybody pulled together extraordinarily well. It was just like the perfect, it's not a storm, but the perfect coming together of a lot of different resources, not just ours. Laboratory, nursing, front office, also the folks from marketing and public relations like Amanda and her team, and of course the facility team from Neil's department. Everybody pulled together. Along with that, the Department of Health brought in National Guard resources. They set up tents. They made the thing so easily to flow. We had wonderful resources. We had decided to do this at the St. David's property in Society Hill, which CareSouth, of course, many of y'all know this, now owns. We bought that property from the school district in the town several months ago. But we've kind of had to back burner our improvement on that with, of course, the COVID-19 crisis. But it was the perfect place. It had lots of space. Folks could drive through and exit, and it wouldn't be a traffic jam. National Guard, like I said, came together. South Carolina DOT came together to assure that we had traffic flow. The State Highway Patrol, there were just a lot of partnerships. The bottom line is that we tested 464 folks. Now that's just incredible. It was quite a day, and we tested that before 4 o'clock. We thought that we might not be finished until later, but things started rolling really smoothly, and we got 464. Why 464? Well, DHEC brought 500 testing kits, at least they thought they did. Their count might have been a little bit off, and some of the kits, aren't always shall we say, in one piece. And sometimes a patient may actually need one or two more extra swabs. The testing that DHEC brought and that now is available through DHEC is not the nasopharyngeal test that everybody is aware of that goes up your nose with about a foot long swab. And everybody jokes about it and says they're not swabbing your nose, they're swabbing your brain. No, instead it's an oral oral test that goes kind of in just to the back of your throat. If you've ever had a strep test, that's exactly what it is. A much better test. Now, of course, you also might be familiar with the test when we use the test kits from LabCorp. Those are just a nasal swab. So we've got a lot of resources to be able to choose from. Senators Malloy was there. Senator Jay Lucas, I understand, came up at one point. I missed being able to talk with him. Representative Pat Hennigan from Marlborough County and Representative Williams from Darlington and Florence County were also there. And we all joined hands and said, well, we probably ought to set an example and get tested. So we did. I got tested. My test has already come back. I'm negative, and I've heard from a few other folks. We're really glad to have our political support from those folks, and they're able to tell their constituents that the testing isn't bad. It's an easy test, and to really encourage this. As many of you might already know, we have rolled out, and we started last week before DHEC even asked us to do Society Hill. But we had been testing in Society Hill, Hartsville, Bishopville, all last week. This week, we rolled out Bennettsville and added Bennettsville to the testing. Next week, we'll roll out Chesterfield. In addition to the 464 tests that we did with DHEC, we've done our own, about 278 tests so far this week. That's not even counting today, Friday. So we're really prioritizing and making testing available throughout our communities, and we're going to do even more. That noise that you hear is my kitten who has decided that this is playtime. So not only will we be part of our own drive-up testing, but we're going to be working with DHEC. As a matter of fact, I am on their new testing coalition, and in just a few minutes, there'll be a regional call around how can we target these areas of such high need, such as Clarendon County, Williamsburg County, our counties of Darlington, Lee, and also Dillon, and of course Florence County. And we're going to work with DHEC in every way, shape, and form. This is a very important plan. We totally support it. We believe that testing is a key part of understanding and knowing more about this disease. And as I was thinking about it, I really realized that CARE South Carolina was born for this. Sure, we're being challenged with this pandemic. Our resources are being stretched thin. We're having to do things like we've never done before. But we have been born for this. Our partnerships, our collaborations that we have developed, our relationships over the past decades, really, our unselfish approach to partnering with folks so that it doesn't have to be all about CARE South Carolina. Instead, we make it all about the patients. We make it all about the communities. We were born for this. This is really what we were meant to do. And we are doing it. You are doing it spectacularly. So keep on. Kudos. This is who we are. We are CARE South Carolina Strong. I've got some other good news, though, I want to share before my time runs out. We have, drum roll please, hired a doctor for Dillon. Those of you who know, we have been recruiting for Dylan now, it seems like forever. We have hired Dr. Furman. She is very excited about coming to the community, very excited about bringing healthcare services to underserved communities. She's going to fit right in Dillon, and we are extraordinarily fortunate that she has chosen to work with CARE South Carolina. She believes in our mission, and she's going to be a significant part of our being able to accomplish that mission. So that's really good news. I also want to say kudos and thank you to everyone. I know last Friday my video was a little bit of a, a hard call. I was at that point pretty disappointed in the way we were handling social distancing and handling our own PPE. But I have to say, in reports and everything that I have heard over the past week, y'all have done an amazing job. You have really taken on the social distancing guidelines. You've figured out innovative ways to do it. You figured out ways to have lunch and still stay in community, even if you're in your cars. Because we still need community. We still need to be able to touch base and collaborate and share. And, we can't physically hug each other, but the American Sign Language sign for a hug is this: crossed arms over your heart. So we can hug one way or the other. But kudos to everybody. You did a really outstanding job on this. You may also be hearing, and I'm sure you are, about the conversations that are coming out of the governor's office about relaxing some of the restrictions and so forth, and quote, getting South Carolina back to work and back out. And you may be wondering how this is going to apply to CARE South Carolina. We have a planning group that's underway. I know this is particularly important for those of you that are working from home. You're probably also wondering about it in terms of your family, what are schools going to be doing and stuff like that. I can only tell you about how we are going to be doing things. You have to wait for the governor's announcements in terms of what they decide statewide. We are going to put together, and we already have a planning group, to figure out how we can do this in a staged manner. The CDC has actually issued guidelines to healthcare facilities about staging your opening. And we're going to be looking at those guidelines very closely, making sure that we do everything with two goals: keeping you, the employees, safe, and keeping the patients safe. Patients are scared. They're very concerned about being able to come out in public. When I went to the testing event in Society Hill, that was one of only 2 times that I have been off of my property since March the 15th. So, it's a big step, and we're going to take it very, very seriously at CARE South, making sure that we do it safely for the safety of both you and the patients. The patients need care, though, and we've got to figure out good ways to achieve that. Last, and certainly not least, I know there's been a lot of questions about are we going to get any special compensation for having to work in this event environment, because I know it's tough. Yes, I can't tell you exactly what, because we hadn't figured out the details, but we have budgeted for it. We are calling it a pandemic incentive bonus. It's going to be tiered. In other words, those of you who are on the direct line are going to get more in an incentive bonus. Those that are working at home, though, you're important too. You're keeping the business and the wheels of CARE South Carolina rolling. And that's very critical. That's very essential. We have to make that happen. So we're not going to exclude that group, but that's going to be at a lesser approach, a tiered approach. The only folks that are going to be left out of this and they don't even know that they've been left out of it, is the executive management team. You guys rock and you are very important, but I think that for this purpose, I'm going to leave our executive management team out of this particular bonus. We really have to recognize those that have been working so hard for us and have been doing so much at often pretty big sacrifice. So stay tuned. Our leader at the Bureau of Primary Health Care has a saying that says soon, shortly. That's Jim McCray. So we'll be able to give you the details of this soon, shortly. But we are planning on it. We are budgeting for it. So it's going to happen. I'm going to leave you with the American Sign Language sign for a hug, and remembering that we are CARE South Carolina strong. Y'all be safe. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.